We are live. Good to see you again, Paul.
Hey man, it's great seeing you.
It's been too long. I feel like we're not doing this enough lately. So thanks for doing this. I know we're both very busy,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's hard to find the time. But thanks for making the time today.
we'll need to put it on the schedule. I mean, I'm saying it live right now, so we need to figure that out.
Oof, another commitment, boy. All right, we'll try. I know we promised at one point to do this once a month, but
Uh,
you know,
I'm with you on this one. Okay.
yeah, you do what you can. Well, it's a new year. Boy, how things have changed. New opportunities, new outlook, new opinions, everything. So let's talk about that. What we think for 2025, but it's only appropriate first to go back and kind of recap 2024. It was uh, it was quite a year in trucking, in the whole trucking industry. So what happened with you in 2024? I guess with your business, and you work with a lot of trucking companies, talk to a lot of shippers and receivers. What were people saying? What were they doing?
Yeah, man. That's a great question because for me, I was, I kind of hibernated in the sense of focused on a project, that I've been working on, which is Elevate. And, we have the website up, but we're still working to develop it. And it's all to support carriers, shippers, brokers, dispatchers, those that want to get into the industry, and providing not just knowledge, and insight, but also to give them a platform that helps move them through the process of acquiring opportunities. So we're still working on that, and we're still excited about that. So I spent a lot of time last year doing that. But in regards to carriers and shippers, it just seemed like it was a time period where things were kind of flushing out on the end of COVID. And there's been, as we've talked before, a lot of carriers in the market, right? A lot of carriers that uh, more carriers than needed,
Right.
based upon the volume. And so it's always been that there needs to be a reduction in that. And there's been a lot of carriers that have gone bankrupt, as we've heard and that we know of. What was the big one last year? What was that?
Was
Was that
was
Yellow?
uh was it yellow
Or-
last year, or was it the year before?
Man,
It
time
was
goes by
last
so
year.
fast.
It was 2024. Yeah.
2024.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so you had Yellow. Yeah, it was Yellow, and then I know there was another one, but so there was a lot of that going on. So talking to shippers, shippers were fine. It seemed like in 2024. They were able to get their freight moved, although shippers, they wanted to see more economic activity, right? But they were able to get their freight moved. As far as carriers goes, um, carriers were looking for freight, but it's interesting because there were some carriers that said they had quite a bit of freight. They had a really good connection with some opportunities. Some of those opportunities we created, and but they needed drivers. They couldn't find drivers, good drivers, um, which was interesting. So that seemed to have been a challenge for some of the carriers, along with finding freight. But that's kind of what I was hearing in 2024.
Yeah, it was a particularly difficult year in trucking,
Mhm.
and it was going to be what you made of it. Nobody was going to make it better for you. So it was a lot of people struggled, a lot of people fell out. We
Mhm.
did. I'd have to say at our carrier, we did pretty well. Everything considered, we grew. We built a lot of new relationships. We held tight to those relationships, man. We'd like a you couldn't pry us apart with a crowbar. We'd do whatever we have to do to maintain that, and basically did everything that you taught us to do, and it worked. So,
Mhm.
and then spent that whole time last year preparing for what we believe is probably going to be a uh, opportunity rich environment this year.
Mhm.
So, in fact, just this morning I was out. I just bought another truck this morning. So we're in growth mode. Um, when you're in growth mode, you're pretty much plowing all your money back into the company. You're
Right.
not making a lot of money, but everybody goes through that. But 2024, I'm glad it's over. Business wise, it was a pretty decent year. Like I said, all things considered. Personal wise, it was an awful year. Glad it's behind us.
Mhm.
Lost a lot of people we cared about. Had some pretty good, you know, health issues. Just all kinds. Just everything. It just sucked. 2024 sucked, and I'm glad it's over. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
done. Let's
that's
let's let's
done.
get on to this year because I'm excited about this year, and
Yeah.
people can take that however they want. I really am not going to plan my business around who's in the White House. That has very little to do with why I'm excited about it.
Mm,
So this is not political. I think it's time. I think a lot of good things are happening here, and I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. January has been a pretty good month so far for rates and volumes. I just want to see a little bit more time on that to make sure it's real.
right.
We've
Yeah.
had some good winter storms.
Yeah.
We've had the holidays. All of those things affect, freight. We've had bitter cold temperatures up here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So I just want to get past all that a little bit before I drop the cautious part over cautiously optimistic. you know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
you want to be sure it's real. So people. I hope they're ready for it. I really believe we're gonna see a lot of opportunity this year. I want to say COVID-like opportunity, but not to that level. But I think
Mm,
there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the little guy again. And I
mhm,
hope I hope people spent time preparing, working on yourself, working on personal development, maybe some skills, maybe some sales skills, negotiation skills, business skills, educating yourself. Those are the kinds of things you can do in a downturn. It doesn't
mhm,
cost
mhm.
anything. Work on a strategy. Work on multiple different strategies. See what other people are doing.
Yeah.
We did that. We're here and we're ready.
Yeah.
So
That's like, we've talked about it. There's you and I have been, for the past 3-4 years, working with each other, and then just seeing the growth in your company and how that has come about. We talk about I never really agreed with the definition of luck, because luck just kind of insinuates that something just happens, you know what I mean, without any effort, right? But when they give the definition, they say, which makes total sense, and it's a whole different look on luck. Preparation meets opportunity,
mhm.
and you have prepared over the years. You know what I mean?
Well,
You have.
I learned from you this one thing,
Well,
and you taught this to me without ever even saying it.
saying what?
You taught this to me, but you never actually said it. I just learned it from you that you see the same people, you see people in your life, and the same people seem to get lucky all over again. Right? The same person, man, he's a lucky guy. Look at this happened to him, that happened to him. It's not he's a lucky guy.
Right.
He's ready for it. He's
Yeah.
prepared for it. He
Yeah.
put the work in. When you do those things, you find yourself getting lucky, but it's not luck.
No,
It's
not
work and preparation.
right. It's not that luck of just happens out of thin air, just because, you know what I mean. There's a lot of effort that's put forth to make that happen. I mean, you have to make steps. I remember, you when you had one truck, right, and then
Hmm.
when you opted to, the first thing was to get uh, to connect with a shipper, right, direct, and that was the first step. And then it was kind of like, okay, I mean, the steps, but in my
Yeah.
head, after that, it was, where do I go from here? Right. And as you got more opportunities, you had to bring aboard, another truck. And that was something new. Right. And you learned through that. You went through the growing stages of that. And then all of a sudden, the learning curve of that. And then all of a sudden, here you are today, and that is behind you. There's still challenges. You have things you have to deal with when it comes to having multiple trucks, but that's something that you learned, you prepared, you learned, you developed, and you went beyond, and you built relationships with truck companies, right? With dealerships, and you've got financing, and you've got all these different parts that make a difference. But you have to put yourself in position, to make those
Well,
choices.
here's something I learned also from you and doing this and going through it is it's scary at first. Like adding that second truck it was a tough decision. It was a big deal. I'd never done anything like that before. I don't know
Right.
how to do it.
Right.
Then you learn how to do it. And then you learn how to do all these other things. You learn how to, develop that equipment relationship to where people start coming to you when they see something that kind of fits your buying profile and your price point, and you get to see it before it hits the lot. People start learning your freight habits and preferences, and they start coming to you with that. Um, you you teach your people to conduct themselves a certain way, and that makes an impression on people, and then they say, "Oh, these guys has good drivers. We want them."
Mm-hmm.
But it's also I had to recognize that. And one thing I'm just kind of tired of is, oh, with the last year you hear, oh, freight's supposed to get better first quarter next year. We're hoping next year second quarter is better. Well, stop sitting around hoping. Like, go make it better for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, learning to recognize opportunity is a big piece of this puzzle. Like, sad to say it, but a lot of people wouldn't recognize an opportunity if it bit them in the ass. They'd be mad because something bit them in the ass. Turn around, smack, get it
Talk it
out of
out.
here. Instead of turning around and say, "Oh, hey,
Welcome.
nice to meet you.
Been looking forward to.
Just bit me in the ass. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? What you up to? Right? Can I help you with something? Is there
How you
something you
doing?
need? Yeah, how you doing? Oh, you just bit me in the ass, but you're the freight manager over at, XYZ company. And
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Things
Absolutely.
don't always look like an opportunity at first.
Yeah.
They look like, what a lot of things look like? They look like a lot of damn hard work.
A lot. Yeah. A lot of in my way. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to deal with
They
this.
look like
It's
I don't want anything to do with that freight. It's heavy. It goes to a place I don't want to go. I don't want to work that day of the week. Uh,
it's not
but
paying anything, and
yeah, it doesn't pay enough. It's too much
mhm.
deadhead. Hey, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
You're
Start going.
you are you are one guy with one truck. You don't think they think the same thing about you? Like, this guy has one truck. What the hell can he do for me? Like, he's always complaining about the loads I give him. They're too heavy. They don't go where. Uh, Start doing it, and what do they start to think about you? Oh, this guy. He does. I can't get anybody else to do these loads. This guy does them. Man, come to think about it, he's always been on time. Come to think about it, he never failed on one. Never turned one down. I remember that one time when he took this load out about 800 miles, and we had him lined up on the next one, and his backhaul fell through. He came back empty 800 miles to get my load. Yeah, they remember that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a guy right now. I'm working with a shipper, and was working with him for one of our clients. And fortunately, he doesn't have the right type of equipment, but he is dealing with CH Robinson, right? And is challenged. I mean, he just opened up, and this is what's going on. And it's not, a lot of times you can call someone and they have an issue right there and then, right? And they're emotionally charged, and then you call them again, and it was just because they were totally upset at that time that they spilt the beans, but the next time you call them, they're fine. It was
Hmm.
just that one incident. But this guy, he's had issues over time. And when I talked to him again today, same issues, but it's real. He has challenges that he needs to figure out. And I don't know who's tried to call him. I don't know who's talked to him, or whatever the case might be. But he and I had a great relationship, or a good conversation, I should say. And in the end, what he said to me was, "Hey, you know what, Paul? If something changes where we can use that type of equipment, I'm reaching out to you." You know what I mean?
Talk
And
talk to everybody.
open up, and hear. Don't have that voice. Have you ever been in this situation, Adam, where and I know I have, back in the day, when I was in corporate America, I remember I would, we would be in meetings and things like that, and someone's talking, and I heard a little bit of what they said, but I was trying to think of my response. You
You
know what I
spend your
mean?
time. What do they say? You're not listening. You're waiting for your turn to talk,
I
and then
was
you're thinking
waiting for
about what
my
you're going to
turn.
say. Right? Yeah.
I was waiting for my turn. That I wasn't listening. I was waiting for my turn to talk, right? And so, I think back on that often because I just think about, what I missed out on, because I didn't listen, and I wasn't engaged, you know what I mean, in that way. Where here in trucking, if you are speaking with someone, where it's very easy to think about, is this load going to work for me, right? How much am I going to get paid, and where is it going, and all these different things. We can have that talk going on in our heads when we're talking to someone versus listening, because there can be so many opportunities that exist, right?
Right.
And there's so many different ways to take a conversation, especially if you're engaged and, they're engaged with you, and, and you start to build that relationship. There's other opportunities that can come about that, about when I'm trying to hear, how can I really be an asset here, right? How can I help you? But I don't know unless I do what? Listen,
Listen.
right? So,
Yeah, it's interesting. It's I'm so over, like, I don't know, it's cliche and stuff, right? It's like I had somebody tell me recently, it's like it's hard to soar like an eagle when you're hanging around with turkeys,
I know that.
right? And like,
Yeah,
yeah, but I like turkeys. They're fun.
they taste good.
Yeah. But it's like you're trying to get somewhere past that, right? I can't
Absolutely.
I can't listen anymore in the truck stop to people sitting around bitching about their load or about freight. Can't let that affect my mentality because guess what? It's easily done.
Hmm.
Like you have to tell yourself, you don't have to say I'm better than that, I'm better than them, but we're doing something different than that.
Hmm.
We're doing something different than that. We
Hmm.
know it works because we've been doing it.
Hmm.
Don't let people drag you down with that crap because it's
Hmm.
it's just so easy. It's just
Hmm.
it's small-minded stuff is
Hmm.
what it is. It's short-term, small-minded thinking. And if you want to move, like, there's a couple guys in here. Like I got to tell you, like I'm pretty bad at ignoring the chat when me and you are talking. So
Oh,
let me just
uh-oh. Let's not do that.
Scott Roll is in here afternoon. This guy right here. There's a couple guys in here like that are doing this. You don't know it. They've been with us all the
Oh,
way.
yeah, yeah, yes. Absolutely.
Grade A transportation. We had a
Yeah.
good conversation the other night.
Yeah.
He's going gangbusters, man.
I
Like
love
just
it.
like from being part of this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You don't even know the effect like what some people are doing. Here's another one, cheap freight hauler.
Yeah.
Like he's working the plan, man. He's got direct people that he works with one truck, right? And he's leased onto a carrier and kind of doing his own thing.
From the recliner. Wow. It's
Yeah.
cool.
So I mean, people are doing it, man, and they're learning. Like my place of the things that I do on a day to day basis changes. Like I work on very little equipment anymore.
Hmm.
Um, I don't haul much freight. I do, the last few days I was out doing that. My place now is selling, trying to constantly improve our situation for the people here and furthering the plan, worrying about the bigger picture things. You try to surround yourself with good people, drivers that that are going to take care of those smaller things.
Hmm.
Because once they learn, oh, I directly benefit from this, you don't even have to tell them, man. They're just doing it. They're just on it. They
And
get it.
that takes time. It takes
It
time,
does. It does.
and that's the investment. That's
Things
a part of the
like
investment.
you take a driver, it was owner operator that came from another company or never
Hmm.
was an owner operator, and you put them to work and say, just go haul freight.
Hmm.
Here's what I want you to do. Just go haul freight.
Yeah.
But then also I want you to, you know, talk to the brokers nice, customers, be on time, communicate, over communicate. That impresses these people. And when they start calling with loads, they're like, hey, is is Bob available for this load? Hey, we worked with Scott last week. Like, can we get him on this other load? And they start to hear that and they're like, you know what? We haven't done this before. But man, it's making me a lot of money. It's doing me good. Right. Then they
Yeah.
start building relationships. There comes a point where one day it just clicks
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
and you get it.
Absolutely.
Right. So there's all
Absolutely.
this bigger picture stuff that, if you're one truck, you don't really have to concern yourself with. You're
Right.
not trying to do anything. But then
Yeah.
when you want to A lot of people have that dream of getting bigger and doing more, and then there's these things, they just one day they make sense, and you realize, you know what? When I'm buying trucks, when I was with one truck, I wanted this particular truck because it's the most efficient, the maintenance, it was prettier. When you start getting in growth mode or whatever, you
Mhm.
can let go of some of those details
Mhm.
because you have other things to worry about: capital management, meeting payroll, um, just pleasing the drivers. You have maybe none is more important than the other. It's just different,
Yeah.
but you have to put yourself down that path
Yes.
of making those transitions.
Yeah.
So interesting,
Well,
interesting.
you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, and it's hard to say it without I'm not smarter or better than anybody else,
Right.
and some of it you don't understand till you go through it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, would I love to have a fleet full of 9 mile per gallon trucks, like Volvos or casket? I would love to,
Absolutely.
but that's not the best use of my money right now.
Mhm.
Best use of my money is, instead of $190,000 Volvo, I can buy 4 trucks, probably of various makes or models, that are 350, 400,000 miles, to grow the company and have more drivers. That's a better use of my capital right now.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. Love to have a fleet full of 9 mile per gallon trucks.
Mhm. Absolutely.
It's just not, you have to get there. I have to
Yeah.
get there. I'm not there,
Right.
you know, because then
Right.
I end up with one truck, and what the hell can I do with one truck? Right.
Right.
Um, so let me answer this, because in case he bows out and doesn't get to stick around till later to the comments.
Mhm.
Bullet Wood says, on your recent equipment purchases, are you doing depreciation immediately or over time? So, Bullet Woods, I address that every year differently. So what I do, obviously keep records of the equipment that I purchased throughout the year. Come like October, November at the latest, I go into my accountant and we spend like 4 hours. Like, I need about 4 hours with you because this is get detailed and complicated. And I said, we're going to do a mock tax return as if the year ended today. So we do everything, we put everything in of all my records up to that date, right? So I have all my expenses, my income. I'll take the wife's, even her most recent pay stub, so we can get that in there. We have last year's depreciations and stuff in there. We put everything in there except for this year's equipment purchases. And then I'll say, okay, now we have 3 trucks and 4 trailers to depreciate for this year. And I'll say, let's do like 3 or 4 different scenarios. One where if I take, if I section 179 all of it. One if I take like 3/4 of it uh, the first year and then put the rest on a schedule, or if I just put it all on a regular schedule.
Mhm.
And we'll see where it comes out with what I owe, or the loss. Where we'll see where we come out with taxes, and
Mhm.
then we'll pick one of those. So one year I could take full section 179. The next year I could put it all divided evenly on schedule, or it can be very different every year. And I
Mhm.
really like that strategy. It's really paid off. It cost me $400 or $500 to do that, but I mean, there's years where it could save me $20,000 in taxes. So it's worth it. That's
Mhm.
how I like to do it. And I
Yeah.
wish I had a more clear answer for you, but that's what I do.
Yeah. That's a strategy that is. I mean, it sounds like that's the way to go. To be honest
But
with you.
but then what I also consider is next year.
Right.
So this
Right.
year I have probably 5 trailers and 4 trucks to
Mhm.
depreciate. Okay. I like to use up those first 2 bottom tax brackets to the fullest. 10% was it, up to 22%, because that's a low tax rate. Because if I just wipe it all out to zero or take a loss for this year, what does that do to me for next year? Does it
Mhm.
does it
Right.
make it harder to get me down into those lower tax brackets? So I'm always looking for that next year also. Um,
Uh-oh.
all right, let's. Reason I ask is you did tractors and trailers. The values are different, which in turn might change depreciation time. Yeah, so trucks are a 3-year property, trailers are a 5-year property for depreciation, but you could take it all in one year. Um, but that's the strategy I use. Um, so where were we? What were we talking about?
Everything. I know. Well, I would say this, like moving from, as we talked about this, the whole thing of it. What do I do, or how do I prepare? I mean, how you have been able to prepare, and and be successful, and have the right attitude and all that good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I mean, your audience knows you. They have been through, let's say COVID, but the idea is, okay, let's look at that situation. And then, there was opportunity there, unfortunately, in that situation, there was a lot of opportunity. And then what did people do, during that time period? Some people thought it was going to last forever, but we knew that it wasn't, right? And we talked about that a lot, that prepare yourself, because it's not going to last, right? But like you were talking about, you can take classes, right? You invest in yourself, and so that you can move on to bigger and better things. So when we come into this new year, a lot of people are looking at the new administration, right? Oh wow, there's going to be a lot of change. I think that everyone could agree upon that, right? That there was going to be change in this with the new administration. So now here we are. Um, how many days in? 4 days in?
20. Oh
20,
no, I'm sorry. You're right. 4. It's the 24th. My bad.
4 days in. Okay, so 4 days in, and man, it might feel like 20 though. I mean, there's just so much stuff.
When you don't sleep regularly, it could be 19 days. It could be 4
Oh
days. I
man.
don't know.
But you're doing all right though, right? You're good.
Slight carbon monoxide poisoning, but we're
Okay.
good.
All right. Well, going into it, we're 4 days in, and there's just a lot of stuff, man. And and trying to keep up. And I know the news people, they love it. There's no question about it, right? Because there's nothing short to talk about, and a lot of opinions, right? But we don't know what's going to happen. But the thing is that you don't want to just, in my opinion, um, just leave it up to someone else,
Well,
right? And
hey,
expect.
it comes down to what it was last year and the year
Okay.
before that and the year before
Hmm.
that.
Absolutely.
It's noise.
Yeah.
It's noise. You have to decide what you're going to do. Now,
Yeah.
can it be good noise or bad noise? It can be.
Yeah.
There's going to be good things happen. There's going to be bad things happen. But what is more important is what you are doing.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of preparation meeting opportunity, because I just
Okay.
went through. This is a good time to tell this story because it just happened. Um, I said we spent most of 2024 preparing for a turnaround eventually, or the way things were going, I was pretty confident that we were still going to be here after the weeding out, the great weeding out. So I'm like, okay, well, we get a turnaround. What's going to happen here? I'm like, well, I'm going to need more equipment, right? So
Hmm.
bought a couple extra trailers, and then I met a guy through a guy and another guy. Hey, I have this lane that I'm looking for a carrier to do to take the lane. It was 3 loads a week from the upper Midwest to the Southeast and back again. Okay, round trip loads. So I want 3 drop trailers at the shipper in the Midwest end,
Hmm.
and this is what it'll be. He called me one day. We talked. I says, "Give me a half hour, and I'll call you back." So I hung up with him. I got on the phone with my drivers, talked to several different ones. Are you in? You want this? This is what the rates are. This is the lanes. This is how it works. Are you in? Commit. I need a commitment. So I got the commitments from the drivers. Called them back. Said, just talked to my drivers. Got the commitments. I got the trailers. I can have them up there Monday. Um, he's like, "Wow, that was quick." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how we roll around here." We didn't know each other that well, so he says, "Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I offered it. I had this conversation with another carrier, yesterday, and to be fair, I gotta have an answer from both of you and give first dibs on it to them." So the next day came, they never answered. Friday came, they never answered, and I reached out to him. I says, because he told me, he says, I'm gonna contact you. I says, what's going on? He's like, well, I haven't heard back yet. I said, huh. I said, it sounds like they don't care about as much about your freight as you do. And he's like,
Right.
LOL. I'm like, no. I said, I really mean that. I says, just so we care about your freight as much as you do. So I'm glad to hear that. He said, I'll have an answer for you on Monday. So Monday comes and I call him. He says, yeah, that other company said their boss was out for the weekend, so they couldn't give me an answer. I said, I hope this is no indication of how they're going to handle your freight. And he's, all this time saying, a little jokingly, but putting it in his ear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, well, they ended up getting the freight because they were a bigger company. Come to find out, they're literally 3 miles down the road. I had no idea it was them, and they have like 300 trucks.
Mm.
So me with 10 trucks, we're competing with this company with 300 trucks,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have more
Yeah.
assets. It made sense to give it to them. I get it
Mm-hmm.
because they have the assets. I know them. They're going to screw it up. So I'm like, I told drivers that we didn't get it. I said, but we're going to get this in the long run.
Mm. Right.
It's been a month and a half,
Okay.
and he calls me. We've been filling in on freight on that lane, what they couldn't do or what other people couldn't do.
Mm.
And
With 300 assets.
he calls me last week. He says, well, he says, I have this other lane. It's out of Iowa instead. It's the same thing, same routine,
Yeah.
just out of Iowa instead of Minnesota.
Yeah.
He says, I want to work you in on that lane. He says, I picked another carrier to do that. It wasn't the carrier that I was knowing. And he says, they're not doing a good job. They don't communicate. He says, you guys have been pulling loads for me. I don't even worry about it. You're there. You communicate. I wish I would have given it to you, but I didn't know you that well. I'm like, okay, well, cool. I says, you got to give me a little time to transition because we didn't plan on getting it. We moved on to doing other things. He's like, that's cool, but we've been doing several loads a week for him now
Mm-hmm.
on that lane.
Mm-hmm.
And, we didn't get it at first,
Mm-hmm.
but we still provided them the all-in service
Mm-hmm.
on the loads that we filled in the gap on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it worked. I told him, I says, you guys just wait. We'll end up with the other lane too, eventually. Now I'm not
Nice.
big enough to handle all that,
Right.
but I told him, I says, dude, you're gonna have to let me grow into this. He's like, no problem. He says, we'll work the plan. He
Yeah.
says, I want you guys on it. I'm like, well, you know what? That's pretty freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't take full credit for that. Drivers get a lot of that credit,
Yeah.
but they
It's a team effort for sure.
put the effort in. So
Yeah.
it's that's where it was something we were prepared for.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came.
Yeah.
And but you can't let off the gas. See, we didn't get it the first time, and we didn't say,
Right.
damn man, we didn't get it.
No.
You don't let off the gas.
No, man. And
Right?
congratulations on that,
Yeah.
huh?
It's nothing spectacular lighting the world on fire, but it's a big deal to me.
Oh, it is, brother. It is. Trust me, it is, because a lot of people want that opportunity, right? But it's there's a song that I know of where it talks about, people praise this person for all that they see, but they don't see them putting in the work, putting in the grind. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like being on a, here we are at the football season. We're in the playoffs, and players, they just want a chance, right? They just want to get in the game, but they have to stay on the sideline sometimes for a bit, right? It might be a year, might be two, but they're always preparing, right? Waiting to get in, get that opportunity.
It's like some of the best player in the NFL probably never made it off the practice squad because he never got the opportunity to.
Yep.
He was ready.
Yeah.
So it's all got to come into play. Sometimes you got to make that opportunity happen though too.
Yeah.
It doesn't come to you. Like, go out and find, and trust me, any of y'all can do it. And nothing special happening over here other than effort. And I don't listen to anybody else, man. I don't like it would astonish people my level of indifference towards other people's feelings. Like, I'm not rude about it. I'm not going to tell you you're an idiot and hurt your feelings. But like, we're just doing this other thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. Well, the opportunities exist. I mean, coming up now, like I think I saw somewhere there in the chat, someone asked about tariffs, and I think
let's talk about that for a second. I don't want to get political. It's not
no political. But
yeah.
I mean, because it's business. We're all in business, right? So
it exists.
Stuff does have a, here's the thing, man. Trump or whomever, whatever the case might be, he's the president, you're right. So I'm going to listen to, things that he says, because it can eventually make a difference in my business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, I wrote an article or whatever, about at least the way I saw him, right? Just his whole character and, how he goes about things, and based upon a lot of information, videos and books and all that stuff. And so you kind of get to know, and a lot of people have their opinion, and get to understand what he's about, right? How he operates. He's a businessman, right? That, I mean, regardless of what you think, whether he's successful or not, I mean, the guy's president. So is that success? I think it is, right? But
It's what he was
he's a
trying to
business,
do. So
huh?
it's what he set out to do, and he got it. So I'd say
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, it's like, however that happened, I don't know, but he's he's a businessman. So if you look at it from that standpoint, and then look at all that he's been doing, right? You think about it in private sector. I mean, if I have my own business, there's a lot of red tape I don't have to cut through, right? But when we're talking about government, oh my God, stuff just gets, you've
yeah.
got to go through a lot of red tape, and, he wants to cut through that, right? So, okay, I get it. It makes sense. You know what I mean? When we're talking about, like he's saying, his use of tariff, and then how he uses it to negotiate, right? He
Yeah.
uses it to get what it is that, he wants, that he thinks is best for whomever. But the point is that, like the art of the deal, his book, he really prides himself on, that, and deal making, that's one of the things that he really says he likes to do. So the tariffs, the question, I guess, becomes, if this is going to become a reality, right? What is that going to look like? How is that going to impact, the industry? How is that going to impact me as a trucking company, right? And then, of course, you got to go beyond and think, okay, how is that going to impact me? But what do I do? You know what I mean? Not from the standpoint of run and hide, but from the standpoint of, okay, how can I take advantage of this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
We
mhm,
just came off a very heated, emotional election season,
okay.
right? So I think most people just need to just give it a minute. Just breathe for a minute, right? Both sides, right? So it's no secret going back through the history of time that politicians, both sides, say things that they don't ever intend to do, right?
Mhm,
So will tariffs happen? I'm sure they will, to the level that they talked about.
right.
Probably not. Most of it will probably not ever happen.
Right.
One, because it was never supposed to in the first place or
Right.
intended to, and two, because you negotiate them away, right? You
Mhm,
make deals and say, "Oh, if you do this, we won't tariff you. If we make this deal, no tariffs." Okay, so don't forget that a lot of it's negotiation tactic.
mhm,
You got to negotiate things away, make
mhm.
threats, promises, whatever. Some of it will happen,
Right.
but guess what? There's been tariffs in this country since the beginning of the country.
Mhm.
This country used to operate exclusively on tariffs. There was no income tax till the early
Right.
1900s, right? We went through an industrial revolution. We had a pretty modern country, right? I think like things worked. And people forget too, they only want to focus on the negative. There can be some positive sides to it.
Mhm,
So we can't just get geeked up because the media says, "Oh, tariffs, we're all going to die." Well, no, that's not going to happen, right?
mhm, mhm.
Most of it isn't going to happen. Some
Yeah.
of it will happen. Some of it will be good. Some of it will be bad.
Mhm, mhm,
Some of it will help create jobs here. Some of it
mhm,
will raise prices on things. Let's just chill out and be a little bit more practical about it. Like,
mhm,
let's just give it a little bit of time. People are
mhm,
still very emotional right now
mhm.
on both sides,
Yeah.
and what do they say? Level heads prevail,
Mhm.
right? So let's see what happens.
I am gonna say this, all
Okay.
right, that, I understand the emotions of it and the emotionally because, again, like I said, Trump's a businessman, right?
Hmm.
So, you and I mean, we talk business all the time, right? We talk, this and that and what have you. And if you listen to him, if you go back, read his books or whatever, he's a salesperson at heart. He's a, showman at heart. He's
Right.
one of us in that respect. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
you have to, whether he was the CEO of a major company, let's call it America is the company, right? He is the CEO of America, right? And so he's out there making speeches just like any CEO would, right? He's out there promoting his company. He's out there trying to make it better, trying to make it the best, right? In all lights, and wants to see it grow and for his shareholders and all that good stuff, right? So we kind of understand that. Now, at the same time, there's more to it than just the shareholders, right? In this economy, this country that we have, we have people out there that are challenged, right? I mean, things aren't the best for them, right? And like you said, I mean, we're not going to get political. I mean, whether we want to talk about, immigration and all that stuff, those touch on a different nerve. You know what I mean? And it becomes very, very the environment becomes very charged. Now, when we do talk about that, though, there is that business element where I wonder, because I don't know, what would happen if we did reduce the population, right? If we had, we sent immigrants or undocumented immigrants, from the U.S. or the birther right, if we had that reversed and things like that, would that decrease our population to the point where we would be challenged like a China, right? In regards to our economy, you know. Um,
I guess we're about to find out.
yeah, and that,
That's
I mean,
that's where we're at.
we're
But
yeah,
something that you had mentioned that he's an entertainer
yeah,
and a negotiator.
yeah,
But we got to remember too that when you're in that position, when you're in the position of an entertainer, right? You
hmm,
sometimes say things you don't mean to gain favor.
okay,
And when you're a negotiator, you sometimes say things for shock value or
okay,
to make the other side feel or think a certain way,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
You may not you're intending to get a reaction from the other side, right? And you'll say things to feel them out and get that reaction and see what it is. So I'm not saying it didn't mean it. I'm not saying it did mean it. I'm just
hmm,
saying
right,
like we gotta just think a little bit more deeply about this than just what some dumbass reporter on TV is saying. And that's with everything. That's why
hmm.
you know what? Noise, block it out, put your nose to the grindstone and just you gotta go to work tomorrow. You're going
Well,
to work
yeah,
tomorrow either way,
oh
right?
yeah. Regardless, yeah,
Just do
absolutely.
you do the okay, so if the tariffs affect things this way, I can do this. If the tariffs affect things the other way,
Yeah.
I'm ready for that, right?
But but but
Have your strategy.
but let's do this. Why not? Then let's talk about those ways. That tariffs could actually because, like me as a business owner, it's good knowledge, right?
Okay.
To have from the standpoint of okay, then if this does happen, or if this doesn't happen, okay, and we do wait to see what happens, but at the same time, what is it that at least I could gain knowledge on, now, even if I go online and learn about, all the things that Adam has just said, at least I feel more prepared. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right.
I feel
So
more comfortable.
you and I had a conversation last week about eggs. How
Okay.
expensive eggs are. Well, first of all, let's say this:
Yeah.
people that say that tariffs are going to drive prices through the roof on everything. Let's not forget that that just happened in the last few years without tariffs. So let's not live in a world where we pretend that that's not going to happen if we don't get tariffs, because inflation has gone rampant. The price of everything has gone up, right?
Okay.
So let's not pretend like it can't happen without tariffs, or it doesn't, or it didn't happen without tariffs. First
Sure.
of all,
Of
now
course.
after we get to that, we talked about eggs, and you're talking about the price of eggs going through the roof, right? And I'm
Mm,
like, oh, this is a perfect analogy of tariffs, right?
okay.
So something happened to make eggs go high, and let's just say that eggs all come from some foreign country, and the reason they went high is because of tariffs, right?
Okay.
And Paul wants to buy eggs, and the tariffs made the
I do.
prices too high. So what is Paul going to do? Paul's going to go looking for different sources of eggs, or Paul's going to raise his chickens and grow his own, or raise his own eggs, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say that Paul's going to go looking for different sources of eggs. Who's going to benefit from that? The farmer down the street that raises chickens and usually sells them for $3 a dozen, and this demand is so high he can charge $4 a dozen now, right? But you're happy because you found a different source for your eggs, and it's right down the street instead of those eggs being imported, and you can judge the quality and know that they're healthier and see where they come from, and you're also
Mhm.
helping a guy here locally, right? Well, now what does
Mhm.
that mean to him? It means he can probably scale his business. He's making more money. Eventually, maybe he can hire some help. So he just created a job. Maybe if everybody else in the neighborhood is doing the same thing, he scales his business to be an egg producer,
Mhm.
and he creates all kinds of jobs, which, you know, is better somebody making 30 cents an hour in China to pack eggs, or, you know, somebody over here making a wage. Maybe it becomes a huge company and they unionize and they have union wages, right?
Mhm.
It's an exaggeration, of course, but it's just pointing out the point. So what happened from the tariffs? It made you seek out other sources and build a local economy
Mhm.
and create jobs, right?
Mhm.
You brought manufacturing back here.
Yeah.
You weren't stuck paying the prices of $8 a dozen for eggs. You didn't have to. Now, would that egg business have happened absent of that? Nobody really knows. It's
Mhm.
possible, but it's the opportunity was created.
Mhm.
So I mean, things. New Core Steel already agreed to build a plant in Utah. You had Stellantis that was going to move some manufacturing to Canada. Come out and said,
Mhm.
no, we're going to keep it in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan area. Now, was
Mhm.
that all because of tariffs? No, not 100%, but they did say it was part of the equation in some conversations they had. It,
No,
it, it, okay, sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it can reestablish manufacturing and domestic jobs.
Mhm.
We really need that.
Yeah.
So,
I think
and also
definitely.
it can, another way it can help is, um, we're talking about now that these are in-kind tariffs. Most of them is talking about tariffing products from countries who put tariffs on us, but we don't tariff them in return.
Mhm.
That's the gist of it. So it
Mhm.
can make our products more competitive for other places to buy. So it can help
Mhm.
sell more of our stuff on the international market for
Yeah.
exports, right? Make it more competitively priced.
Yeah. I think there's again, it is a big, kind of wait and see, because there's a lot of things I think
Yeah,
that are,
nothing happens
over.
overnight.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of things that would take place. I mean, even if you're talking about just negotiations, I mean, you're talking about the $500 billion he was talking about with SoftBank, and the other companies investing in the AI infrastructure, and then Saudi's 600 billion, and all this money coming in. Um, there's some things that need to happen, for all that to occur, and it's over time, right?
Exactly.
So these things that we talk about, we would want to be hopeful that, as time moves on, there may be a misstep here, misstep there. We learn from it, and things just hopefully end up balancing themselves out. But it's, with
Yeah.
America and the America First agenda, and working,
Well,
talking about
yeah.
tariffs and using it to negotiate. There's on the extreme side, if you definitely don't want to isolate America. You know what I mean?
Right.
In terms of, we produce everything, we're so self-sufficient, right? Because the world just doesn't work that way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, because sometimes you can get to a point where, you're so, I guess, self-sufficient that it does come back on you. There's a lot of countries out there that do well in what they manufacture, and there's a lot of relationships that definitely we need to build, and we need to
Yeah.
have and maintain. Um,
I think
uh,
that the argument of isolationism is over. We're such a intertwined world anymore.
I would hope so.
None of us can be
And
self sufficient, and we all need
yeah,
something that somebody else has. So that argument doesn't really hold water with me. But um, this
but I mean,
none of
but
this
with
happens.
that, But real
Sorry.
quick, just with that, and I agree with you from the standpoint of that that is that we are so intertwined that you like if I have a personal relationship with someone, right, and I get mad at them, right, but there's a lot of family stuff that we're intertwined in, and what I can screw up a lot of different things, you know what I mean, because um I'm so focused on my stuff,
Right.
and so I mean, but who knows, we'll see where things go.
Yeah, and people got to remember too. None of this happens in a vacuum.
Hmm.
Um, it's so much
Right.
more complex, and there's so much more to it. Yeah, all you can say is don't let the media make you feel one way or another about it, because they're short sighted. They're reactionary about it. They've rarely thought it through on a deeper level. And who cares what they have to say anyway? Both, all of them. I'm not picking one side over another. They have an agenda. It's to make money for their company and
A
get
lot of
views.
money.
And don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're smarter. You're smarter than they are. Um, just do you.
Yeah, there's a lot of money out there to be made. Trust me, a lot of money. It's so funny, man. There's a lot of these shows that I'll just scroll and then I see that I've passed up like these different, I don't know, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, these different shows, right? And then all of a sudden I'm stopping just kind of to see what people are saying, and golly, everybody's on the same topic. You know what I mean? And it's a moneymaker. Like I think it's well, Fox, CNN. I know that they've gone to subscription. And I think with CNN, I think they knew that Trump was going to be in office, and I think they made a lot of money last time he was in office, right? And I think that they probably went to subscription to, take advantage of that. So money talks, and people will do things and say things for whether it's the shock value or whatever, but it is all to generate more revenue. And even with that, whether it's a CNN or whoever it is, these reporters, they become pretty popular, with just this whole administration. If Trump says their name, they all of a sudden become popular, right? And
I gotta get him to say my name. Really would
get
probably help me. Probably help my channel. Maybe I can deep fake that. Get him to get him to talk about me. Shoot.
that would be so interesting, man. If that happened, I'm gonna try to help you out with that. Okay.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. There's a crisp
But
$50 bill in it for you.
mm,
Um, yeah. So what? All right. Some good stuff going on in the chat here. All right, let's hit a hot button topic here.
yeah. Ooh.
Everybody knows what I think.
Oh
Marty wants
no.
to know what you think of broker transparency from the carrier side.
Broker transparency. Ooh, from the
Apparent,
carrier side.
yeah, apparently that's back on the table.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. From the carrier side. Well, man, we've talked about it before,
Yeah, I
right?
think it's stupid. Just for the record, I go on record as it's stupid.
Well, I mean, even with all this stuff that we've been talking about, with Trump and all that good stuff, I mean, I'd be interested, honestly, to hear what his response would be as well. Just to kind of hear his insight, and I think that it
I don't. You
probably
know what?
follow along with
I don't
your.
want him. I don't want him to have an opinion. I want him to
No,
stay
no,
out of
no,
it.
not in the sense of, yeah, I hear you getting
Yeah,
involved and all of a sudden
it's not what a
trucking's
president's supposed
highlighted
to do.
and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, I get that. But and I'm talking about it from the standpoint of I mentioned he's a sales guy, right? And it's like I know that for him, well, when he's building his buildings, what he says is, he finds out the cost of things, right? And then he negotiates from there. Although he will say he understands that this is what he says, that they have to make money too. Do you see what I mean? That the vendors or whomever he's getting, wherever he's getting his material from, they have to make money too, right? So he can't try to bid them so low to the point where they're not making money,
right.
right? So as far as that goes, we there's just so many different pieces to this whole puzzle. I mean, you have one of the things Adam says is that you have people here that are driving and they will their rates will be so low, and it might be because they're here from overseas or whatever, and and they charge what they charge, and then that makes it challenging, right? But as far as transparency like that, I don't come from that world of showing, showing your prices. I
I
just don't.
I
No.
I wish people would rechannel their efforts a little bit, rechannel your energy.
Mm.
People are so passionate about this broker transparency thing, and hey, I get it.
Yeah.
Trust me,
Yeah.
I get it. It would be
Yeah.
nice
I
to
do
have
too.
great rates on everything. Take that energy and if you hate brokers that much, find a way to stop using them. Gosh dang it. Why if you hate the people you do business with so bad, for God's sake, don't do business with them, man. Like there's some brokers that I absolutely detest.
Yeah.
We don't do business with them.
Right.
Uh there's some that I love. I try to do all the business with them that I can because they're so good to us.
Right.
Are they making could they be making $400 on a load? I don't maybe. Good for them because guess what? They're paying me a lot. We're making way more than that. You know?
Hmm. Hmm.
God bless them.
Yeah.
Work on that, man.
Yeah.
Work on like the only have the broker and spot market mentality.
Hmm.
That's going to be a long, hard career and business path for you, man. And trust me, we do a lot of broker freight.
Yeah.
We do. So
Yeah.
I'm not immune to this issue, but I don't. It's not top 20 issues on my radar, man.
Yeah. Right. 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 You
And
know, it, mhm.
it doesn't make any sense, and ultimately it doesn't matter. People, and you know what? People will, if they get it,
Mhm.
they are not going to be happy with the results, with the
Mhm.
consequences, because
Mhm.
number one, they're going to have to
Mhm.
admit that they were wrong about a
Mhm.
lot of things.
Mhm.
They're going to admit that they were wrong about number two.
Mhm.
It's not going to change anything for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's if you think about it, let's say I'm a broker, right? And I'm making all this money, right? But I'm getting my freight moved, right? On the shipper side, it depends. Some shippers may not be aware, of what's being charged, and that they could get, maybe better rates. Some people will pay the money because of the service, right? They're getting great service, and they're going to pay the money. And so the broker is probably making some money off of that, and then the carrier's making some money off of that. But there are some shippers out there that, if they saw, how much they were paying and then what somebody else would charge them, they might say, hey, you know what? I'm going somewhere else because you're charging me way too much. There are brokers that will lose business, right? Because they're overcharging the
Hmm.
shipper, right? So that's on them, right? So you would hope it's their business that the broker is trying to be fair, right? You would hope that, but like you said, there's so many other opportunities out there. Go find other opportunities. If you want to go direct, I mean, we can help you with that, right? But if you want to go direct, it does take some effort, right? It takes some time, it takes some know-how and all that good stuff, and you want to be able to maintain those relationships, right? So go ahead and do that. I mean, you can look at it and say, okay, this guy's getting, I don't know, 30% margin, whatever it is, right? But that broker is maintaining that relationship, right? That broker is doing, there's a lot of things that you can list.
It's such a misunderstood situation,
Yes.
and
There's,
you can't fix it without
mhm,
with that level of misunderstanding. And I know
mhm,
people are going to hate that I say that, but
mhm,
it's the damn truth, man. And
mhm,
you know what? You won't get it anyways because there's so many ways around
mhm,
it. They'll just become a freight forwarder where they're the shipper, and they'll
mhm,
show you whatever the hell they want to show you.
mhm.
Right? If I
Yeah.
so uh, C.H. Robinson is a broker.
Mhm,
They're also a freight forwarder. They
mhm,
have warehouses.
mhm.
All they have to do is take and run it through freight forwarder, and they can show you whatever the hell rate they want to show you.
Mm,
And brokers hit home runs on loads just like we hit home runs on loads. There's loads
absolutely.
they lose money on.
Very
There's
true.
loads they make. I mean, my margin was like 3.2%.
Mhm.
That stinks. It's not
Yeah.
even worth being in business for, but it's there for another reason.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's but it's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time and resources.
Adam, I'm gonna give you an example. I had one client said that he took a class, and it was I think it was a broker class. It was a broker class, I believe. And so whoever he was taking that class with, they showed them BOLs, right, or some confirmations, and they got to see the rates, right? And they were like, "Oh my God!" I think they were. I don't know what the percentage was, but it was maybe $1,000, 900 or $1,000 that this broker had made, and supposedly this is a real bill of lading, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or and it had these numbers on it, and then they said that example alone really got them strung to the point where they were like, "Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna let this happen anymore, and I don't trust any brokers and on and so forth. And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that." So this company or this school was like, all right, you run, we're gonna run loads under us, under our brokerage, and it's gonna give you that experience and on and so forth. And they did. I can't remember exactly everything that happened, but they walked away really believing. God, I've got so many examples, but at any rate, they walked away with that belief that this is what's going on in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
that everybody's making $900, right? Or $1,000, whatever it is as a broker. God, that's a lot of money.
But
You know what I mean?
here's where the level of misunderstanding can come in on that load. You take a
Huh?
load. Here's where
Yeah.
the misunderstanding can come in on that load, right?
Yeah.
And any load, it does, and that, or that was a one-off. It can be a lot of things. So if you
Right.
need to move a load from the Los Angeles port
Yeah.
to
North Carolina.
Chicago,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
That comes off a ship.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in a yard.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on a chassis.
Mm-hmm.
That chassis it gets delivered to a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
It can be unloaded at that warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
reloaded onto a 53-foot dry van,
Mm-hmm.
53-foot dry van to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
where it can go into another, say, Lineage Logistics for storage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or dry warehouse for storage.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to unload that.
Mm-hmm.
They store it. They break it down, and it goes out for on 10 different trucks to
Mm-hmm.
distribution to
Mm-hmm.
Cisco,
Okay.
right? All of those steps along the way, putting that truck on a chassis, unloading it at one warehouse, reloading it, the labor for that, the storage
Mm-hmm.
at the warehouse, that load could say $10,500 on the bill of lading. Guess what? That 10,500 covers all of those things. You think people load trucks and unload trucks for free? Do they
Mm-hmm.
warehouse for free?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did anybody look into it to see if those things were included on that bill? Did anybody do any homework on that
Right.
to see if that include a pallet fees at a warehouse
Yeah.
or the labor to unload or reload a trailer?
Yeah.
No, because it all is my money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's the level of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
There's custom fees.
Yeah.
This is lump sum stuff to move.
Yeah.
C.H. Robinson will say it's 16,000 to take your container from Shanghai, go through all these steps, and get it to Chicago.
Mm. Okay.
That right might go on the bill of lading, and then some idiot gets the bill of lading and doesn't understand what the hell they're talking about and
Yeah.
says, "Wait a minute, they paid me $5,000 on this.
Yeah.
They're keeping $11,000?
Yeah.
Come on,
and then
it
expect
happens, man."
to get paid 16,000 for to move that or whatever
And then we got to have these
yeah.
transparency arguments
Yeah.
because some idiot doesn't know how the logistics supply chain works.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree in the sense that, there can be a lot of, because I operate as a broker, and there's a lot of moving parts, right? And then there's also where for some as a broker, just in the light of transparency, it's where they might charge a higher amount, that you might think is unfair. But in that movement, there could have been in the past where there were issues, right? To the point where, okay, we have to charge it because we're going to make sure we cover, whether if this happens or we know that there's a higher risk of whatever it is, something
It
occurring.
could be a rate to cover 100 loads, and they divide it by 100 and put it on there. But some loads may cost more to move than others because of
Yeah,
the days they need to move on a holiday. But
yeah, absolutely.
and you know what? If they did make $11,000 on that load,
Mhm,
why do you think that's your money? Like
mhm,
you moved the load, you
mhm,
took the load for $5,000.
right.
Just because it paid more, what if
Yeah,
it paid less and they had to pay you 5,000? It's like you moved the load. What it costs you to run your business and to haul that load doesn't change because something else somewhere else paid more. I'm just saying, like,
but
you
but
were
but
you were happy enough to take that rate to move the load. If you thought if you did if it was 10,000, if your rate was 10,000, you should have
yeah.
asked for you should have stuck on 10,000. See if you get the load. You won't, but like we have to take some responsibility on what we agree to do things for.
If you want that, we're just using the number, but $10,000, like, okay, then all right, then maybe the idea would be to sharpen your negotiation skills, right? And sharpen your the ability to reach out to shippers direct, right? Be
Well,
able to,
there's also that thing where you could go be that broker
huh?
and
You can do that.
get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
business for yourself
Well,
and make that for like if you really believe that that's what it is,
right.
go get that, man.
And a lot of people believe want to become brokers. I mean, we
Go
know
get it.
that, right?
Go get it.
But yeah, and then once that happens, there's a lot of people that start thinking, "Oh, wait a minute, there's more to this," right?
S-
Because, and I talk to a lot of carriers, and for us, we do the training, we do the sales training and all that good stuff. And here's the thing, a lot of carriers don't want don't care. They didn't get into trucking to do sales, right? That's not why they got into
Even though
trucking.
it's part of it.
Huh? It
Even though
it
it's part
it's
of it.
totally a part of it. But if you're a broker, it is that's the job. You are a salesperson, and part of that is negotiating rates and all that good stuff, right? So, there is that part where if I don't want to cut my grass, then I hire somebody to do
Why
it.
are you a homeowner? Right?
Why am I a homeowner? Or I hire someone to cut my grass, right? So then if I am if I'm a carrier and I've got trucks and I'm moving them around and all that good stuff, but I don't want to do the sales part of it, well, that's what the broker does. The broker basically is your sales team, right? So they're going to get paid, and if you really want to be honest about it, sales pays well. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? You get into
There's a
sales.
reason. There's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah, sales pays well. I mean, whatever industry you get into, you see. So in terms of, we talk about broker transparency, there's arguments on both sides, but again, I come from the sales side of things, and then at the same time, I'm the kind of guy who's like, all right, if I don't care for this, then let me try to understand it and figure it out and maybe do it myself or figure something out myself on how I can do this, you know.
Well, here's the thing.
Um,
This whole argument can be summed up by this, and it can stop right here.
yeah.
People are putting all this effort into dragging somebody else down to a lower level. Stop trying to drag other people down. Take half that energy and build yourself up, for crying out loud.
Hmm.
Go if that freight is there and it's for that rate and they're making all this money, hey, why don't you go get it? Start a broke. If it's so easy and anybody can do it and all you need is a computer and a phone and this, go
Yeah.
freaking do it. Go do it.
Yeah.
Stop trying stop trying to take my bag away. Go get your own. And if you don't like mine, try to take it from me.
Mm. Hey,
Come get
hey,
it.
hey, Adam. I've been involved where we built a brokerage from all there was an office space, right? And there was a box that had phones in it that were being sent back because the people that wanted to build this brokerage, they didn't know what to do with the phones, right? They were going to send them back, and there was no furniture. There was just a blank office space, and we went to a whole nother, we were in California. I'm in Kansas City. We went to California, and that's what we had to work with, and we built that thing, to getting furniture, to getting all the documents in order, putting the computers in, to getting the personnel, getting salespeople, to putting in processes and everything. We did all that. I mean, this wasn't just a one-man operation, obviously, but all the effort that was put in order to broker freight, right? So my point is that there's more to it, right? I mean, if someone can, I guess, just sit around and just broker the freight and,
Hey,
hey, all right, connect the dots. But honestly, there's more to it.
this
That
is this is
there's more.
America, This is America.
Yeah.
It's 2025.
Yep.
There is no excuse. Opportunity is everywhere this year. Go freaking get you some.
Yeah.
Stop the excuses. Stop trying to make other people provide your bag. Go get your own. Like, stop it. Like I'm telling you, the opportunity is going to be there this year. If we had opportunity during COVID, it went away. Everybody saw what that was like. You going to let the same freaking thing happen to you again this year?
Right there. Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
What? The only thing that matters is what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
What the hell are you going to do with it? What are you going to do about it? You're going to
Yeah.
let other people sit there and keep telling you is it still the broker's fault this year? Is it still whoever's fault? Is it Biden's fault? Is it Bush's fault? Is it Clinton's fault? Is it Trump's fault? Whose fault is it going to be this year? And when the hell
Oh
is it going
no.
to when the hell is it going to be your fault?
Wow. Or when is it going to be your
What, you know what?
you
If
take
if it can never be your fault, don't you dare ever claim your success.
wow. Yeah.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
If none of it was your fault
Yeah.
for your lack of effort or your
Yeah.
whatever, I don't want to hear about it was your success. If everybody else made the failure happen, everybody else made your success happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, and the thing too, Adam, again, for me, it's don't expect just because like Adam says something, I say something, and then you try it, whatever that might be. Let's say even you brokering or whatever, things don't happen overnight, right? Just think about that. It's relationship based. I mean, you can attest to that, right? I mean, like you said, these people, they call you now when they have something on the lot, right? You built that relationship. You see what I'm saying? So these relationships make a big difference. Even if you have relationships with brokers, right? You develop relationships with brokers.
We have some great relationships with some brokers.
Relationships with I mean, that's all that we do. I mean, we'll do it on your behalf, but we will also teach you how to do that. I'm not saying anyone and everyone can just go out there and do it. I mean, you might need some help, some support, some guidance, and all that good stuff. And that's totally fine. But here's the thing: invest in yourself, right? Invest in your company, invest and put that money back into your company, right? And watch, because times might be good now. We'll see. Everybody's optimistic. And then, Adam, would you say this? Maybe we take off and things are really good. Do you think at some point we're going to experience a dip? And I don't know if it's 5 years from now, 10 years.
Absolutely.
Is that going to happen?
Absolutely. And you know what? We know it's coming. We know it's going to happen. We don't know when, but I guarantee you when it happens, we'll probably blame whoever's in the White House. We'll probably blame brokers. We'll probably
blame them for what? Blame
we
them
have
for
we have
where
blame
we're at, our
pre-assigned.
situation, right?
Yeah, we have blame. Yep.
Versus taking advantage of today to make a difference for then. It might be the economy might be stressed out and everything like that. But again, as you say, I got to focus in on me, my company, right? And if 10 years from now, things have gone downward, depreciated, whatever, what did I do to prevent me from either hitting the low or even going out of business, right? Because what you do today does matter. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's in a certain amount of it's human nature. It's not doing the hard things, taking responsibility. It's easier to let somebody else do it.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to take responsibility for your own situation.
I think I saw in there in the chat, someone said delayed gratification. I don't remember who
I didn't
said
see that. Let me
I saw that
find
in there.
that. Let me find that.
But
so Marty says, if broker transparency goes through, would you ever ask a brokerage for that transparency on a load? I'd never say never, but I will say probably not, because I don't care. What am I going to do with that information other than go back solicit them? See, everybody thinks that just because we find out if the money is there that you're going to get any of it.
Right.
Where's that? There's a disconnect there. We're what's the mechanism for that? Because if you find out they got $1,500 for a load, you did $900. Okay, you find out there's $600 there. What makes you think you can get any of that if there's still 75 trucks for every 10 loads out of Cincinnati? They might
Yeah.
cover it for 800. They might
Mhm.
cover it for 700.
Mhm.
Eh,
So, what do you think about this? What if, let's say, every load that comes across, um, automatically, every load, it has your rate and what the broker's getting. So and then it has the math on there. The broker's making $50, the broker's making $100, the broker's making 1,000, whatever it is. But on every load that occurs, what does that? I haven't thought it through. I mean, it just came to my mind, so I haven't even really given it a thought. But I'm just curious as to, is that what people are asking for? And then, if so, what
I think
what
they
does
want to know
that do?
because
What
number
does
one,
that?
they believe that's their money. Well, that's between the shipper and the broker. That's between them two.
Absolutely.
The money is assigned for moving the freight, but the broker is tasked for moving it, and that's what they move it for is up to them. But I think
Mhm.
people really believe that just because they find out if the money is there, that they're going to get it or they're entitled to it. The market's going to dictate if you get it or not. If they're making $900 on a load and the market is such that they can make 1,000, they're going to make 1,000. If you call up and say, "Well, I know you're getting 900 on that load. I want 400 more dollars." Are they going to pay it if their phone's ringing off the hook and there's 17 more trucks on hold waiting to take that load? No, you still don't. That still doesn't put you in a position of power. The market's not in your favor.
Yeah, in that situation, no, it's not.
The
It's
market
not.
shifts will change that, but if the market is such that they're trying to move that load and nobody's calling,
Mhm.
you could have got more money anyway. You
Mhm.
need to know what the market and the supply and demand is right at that moment
Right.
in that area.
Yeah. But I
And then
mean, if it's that, again, you know, the requirement is you show me the money,
mhm,
you show me how much you're being paid. What I'm asking then is, I'm just like, as a carrier that wants the transparency,
okay,
and they see this and it comes and it's passed. This is what's required. You
okay,
have to show me the amount that you're receiving from the shipper, and you have to show me the amount that I'm getting paid, and then I see the difference. Right? It's right there in black and white.
okay.
So, as a carrier, what what does that accomplish for me as a carrier individually, and as the community? What does
So
that do?
the theory is, the people's argument is
Mhm.
that they can get more for the load that way
They can get
because
more.
there's money in the load, and the broker doesn't deserve to make as much, so they can get a higher rate on the load if they know the money's there.
So are we, but then is it that, which I know this won't go fly, is it then that a percentage has to be set across the board, or are we just saying that,
Well,
okay,
now you're asking questions, assuming that people have thought this through and done their homework and come up with some guidelines, and that hasn't been done.
well, but then, I mean, you have to do that and figure that out, right? And what I'm getting at is, because I go more on feelings, right?
No,
And I
we
don't.
we we do emotional knee jerk reactions around here, Paul. We don't think things through.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, then, staying on the knee jerk reaction, then I'm my knee jerk is, nah. I don't think it.
I just, you know what? Transparency, no transparency. Put your effort somewhere else. There,
True.
your effort can do far more good for you when
I agree.
focused somewhere else.
I
It
really
just
do think so. Because if I'm over here and I'm so energized on this, charged on this, there's probably all this opportunity that you're missing out on. You know what I mean? And I'm talking
yeah.
about from the standpoint of, again, we got to think it through. How do I establish my
So
business?
here's where I'm going to put my energy.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
people, the transparency thing,
Yeah.
it'll go through. It won't go through.
Mhm.
You got to stop and say, okay, if this thing goes through,
Mhm.
uh, where can I get in the middle here and benefit where can I do things differently than other carriers are going to do to benefit me, right? So
Mhm.
if carriers are beating brokers up for more money, damaging, you know what they're doing? You know what they're really doing? They're killing relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
They're murdering them. They're slaughtering them.
Mhm.
And then guess what? And then we come in and we talk to the broker and say, hey, I don't know. I'm thinking this through as we go here. We come in and say, hey, um, we'd like to do this lane for you.
Mhm.
We understand the transparency thing. We understand, hey, what's a margin you're comfortable with where we could do this load for you every week and
Mhm.
make both of us happy, so that I
Mhm.
don't have to come back and beat you up, on the regular or whatever. There's
Mhm.
there's a there's a room, there's a space in there for somebody to capitalize, and you just got to
Uh-huh.
figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's back in the day, man, when I was a broker, and I've told you this story before, um, I didn't know, and I've been a broker for a while, but I was doing it on my own, and I didn't. A lot of carriers would hang up on me. Not they would hang up on me, or they would curse me out, and all these different things they would do. Do you know why they did this? You have
Well,
any
you're
idea
you're
why?
you're probably a better negotiator.
Whatever rate it was I gave them, they didn't like it. So they decided to curse me out or hang up on me. I would call them back and I'm like, what happened? And, they said, oh, you brokers, you're just alike and this and that. And they would just go off on me. And I'm like, why aren't you just talking to me? Right? Why can't we, figure it out? I mean, let's go back and forward. I might have money in it. I might not. Sometimes the shipper, I don't have money in it. Right? Sometimes this is what it is. And this is all that I have to work with. Now, if I'm finding out that, look, we need a couple more $100 in this deal, which I've had to do that before. I'd have to go back to my client, right? And sometimes I'd get it, sometimes I wouldn't. But what I found was that a lot of carriers back then, they just hated brokers, and therefore they blanketed every broker they talked to. That's how they talked to them. And what I walked away with was this. I was like, I don't understand how you operate a business like that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you're in this business, why are you in this business
Well,
if that is the attitude and mentality that you take? Because I don't want to work with you. You know what
one
I mean?
one could make the argument that they can't run a business that way. That's why they need broker transparency or want it.
Mm,
This just is, it's an argument, not saying it's right or wrong.
right. Yeah.
Sterling Wheel wants trucking to be fair and care about his feelings. Um, Chief Rayhaller says, wait for the carrier's cut the broker's rate after transparency, only to find out that the shipper was charging to load the truck and palletize the freight. Yeah, there's more that goes into this than
Right.
people realize, especially in the refrigerated business.
Hmm.
Yes, that's a and you know what? I have firsthand knowledge of that because I have one place we haul for. Long story of why this happens. It doesn't matter, but that all comes on the rate confirmation. Is each pallet fee, a shrink wrap fee,
Hmm.
restack fee to load the truck. So the freight comes in. If the pallet's bad, new pallet, new shrink wrap. The freight gets sorted and it goes
Hmm.
back out. I
Hmm.
see all those charges.
Hmm.
Just because that's the way their computer does it. Really don't care. But first time I saw that, I called and I'm like, "Am I supposed to be billing for that, or was that a deduction?" He's like, "No, that's just the way our computer does it. It's
Hmm.
stupid." Um, it comes out, like $300-400 a load.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's a real thing that happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some shippers have more needs that the broker has to take care of, right? And again, like you said, one off. There are some deals where they can be a one off where this broker made a lot of money, right? But it's not. I don't think it's the norm. Am I right, Adam? I mean, in terms of,
You know,
I don't think.
it happens.
Yeah.
Honestly, is it the norm? I don't really care. I'm not trying to run their business. I'm trying to run mine. And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to use that as a cop out.
No.
It's the truth, man. If I spent an an hour a day thinking about that, I'd probably start to develop a losing mentality that I can't get more money because they're keeping. I don't want that even in my head.
Yeah.
I'm running my business, man. I let them run theirs, and if I
Yeah.
don't like it, I'll find something else. I'll move on. When they call, I won't take their load. But you just gotta keep that out of your head, guys. You just gotta. Just please, man. please stop it. Please.
Please.
I'm begging you, man.
But, I don't, and here's the thing too, Adam. I think a lot of people, they definitely respect you, respect the things that you say and what have you. And I know that you probably don't believe that, but, but there's a lot of people that do. And, but the other side of it is that everyone is not going to take to it. You know what I mean? That a lot of people are, they're going to do what they want to do, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think there's a lot of people that do listen. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. So
with that,
let me
go ahead.
interject here. Sterling
Yeah.
brought up something. He's like, I always looked at it this way. I work with a broker, not for them. I'm selling my services, nothing more. Okay, let's take that a step farther,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. I'm already
I'm
there.
s- I'm stretched pretty thin these days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling this is my situation. I don't have a lot of time for extra stuff,
Right.
right? So,
Yep.
okay, you're selling your service to a broker. You work with them, not for them.
Mm.
Hey, if you think they're earning too much money, make them do something more for it. So go to the broker and say, start working with them, right? Do a good job, the relationship. And then you know what? They're going to go out and start selling your services. If they're selling it as their own, who cares? Because guess what? They're doing your sales for you. You just
Bingo.
conned them into doing your sales for you.
Yeah.
Because if they go out and get more freight,
Mm.
come to you because you're like a core carrier for them. Say, Adam, I got this new freight, and they'll help. It's, hey, what can you move it for?
Yeah.
Give me some bids, and then you'll go back and forth. They'll put a markup in there for their margin, and guess what? You just got a salesman and he's not on the payroll. Is he getting
Mm-hmm.
paid for it? Absolutely. That's his job. That's his
Mm.
business. So it's a symbiotic relationship. They
Yeah.
you sell to them, and they sell you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't have time to do that these days, man. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm not even trying to go out and sell right now. I ain't got no
Mm-hmm.
more trucks to give. Like, we're busy.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, with what you said, again, I go back through the years, you set yourself up for this, right?
Yeah,
Opportunities come up, but
I
you
don't have
have
to
to get
sell
that.
anymore. Right now, I
Yeah.
don't have to sell.
Yeah. See, and
I'm
that,
not
and
selling.
you did sales, right? And it puts you in the situation you're in today. Was that fair to say?
Yeah,
You know,
we
and
did
then,
we did the sales last year. Now it's
yeah,
time. Now it's time to move the freight.
nice. I love it. I love it, man. I see Chief Freight Hauler says there,
Oh, this
yeah,
one.
absolutely.
Yeah, it says I
Yeah.
used to think brokers were the enemy,
Yeah.
but then I started thinking of them as my salesperson. I just have to negotiate their commission as low as possible. Yeah,
As
there you
low as
go, man.
possible.
Yeah, because
Well,
sales is the highest paid job in the world. I can't afford a sales guy,
mhm. Yeah.
and
Do
I'm
it.
not good enough. I'm not. I'm not. That's my shortcoming. Like, I'm not like a freight sales guy.
Yeah.
They are. So
Yeah.
why not? Hey, you know what? You're getting the best freight salesperson in the industry for far less than you could ever pay him to be on your payroll. I couldn't.
There you
So
go.
I work with a guy out of southern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
This is just one of them,
Mhm.
and they give us some freight, and it's pretty good freight, and it pays really well. If I had to hire him to work for me, could
Mhm.
never afford it.
Mhm.
Never afford it.
Right.
Um, but he's we're hauling his freight, so he's selling
Mhm.
us. Screw it,
Mhm.
getting his services at a bargain. The way I
Yeah.
see it, if he may keep getting a few $100s off the load. Yep. Guess what? I'd have to pay him more than that to be on my payroll. I
You're
really would.
so you have a salesperson and you don't even see the money. You're not even writing a check. You know what I'm saying?
Don't
I
have to
mean,
pay him
it's
benefits, no unemployment.
yeah, you know. So it's and the thing is too, Adam, you could hire somebody. I mean, you can be in different areas of the country, and there could be areas where it just makes sense for you to have a broker. You know what I mean? And then there can be other areas in the country where maybe you should look to have your own client, right? It could be in your backyard where you could have a relationship and you walk in and shake their hand and have this amazing relationship and they just feed you freight. See, the difference between that is this: one is a broker. You might not see all the freight that shipper has available. If you go in yourself and you do the direct shipper relationship, carrier relationship, you get to see other opportunities, right, that exist, and that can help you to grow. But either way, as you talk about all the time, the mentality is what has to change, right? You have to look at them from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to waste that energy on stuff that's just negative and it's not going to make you any money.
Here's a lesson learned from 2024. Uh,
Hmm.
you can't do it all yourself at a certain point, right? I've
Right.
always made, offhanded comment, I'll die trying.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I almost did. Like, for real. I've had to really just freaking ease off the pedal a little bit and take some stress out of my life. I was headed down that road. So, like, I have to learn to delegate, have to learn some things you just got to let it go. Um, all kinds of that stuff. So,
Mhm.
you can't do it all yourself. You build a team and surround yourself. Leave the turkeys behind to surround yourself with other soaring eagles. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can hang out with the turkeys on a weekend and talk a bunch of crap, but yeah,
Watch it.
yeah,
Yeah. And then like you say, going into 20, so we're talking about 2025 or 2024, and then even before then. It's like, okay, what have we learned? You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're talking about, right? We're just talking about things that we've learned, whether we sat down, opened a book, or we worked with someone, or we did it through experience, right? So as long as we're learning, that's the key. I might just hate I might hate sales. I learned that I don't like sales. I might learn that I'm good at it. I might learn something about the industry. I might learn something about the economy, right? These are the good things to know, right? To be exposed to, but you want to make sure you're advancing. Don't get stuck, right? Don't keep yourself in a rut,
and
right?
the thing that was in every one of those statements you said was learn.
Yeah.
It's hard to learn when you, let's say, know it all, or when you pride keeps you from a lot from learning.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff. There's hey, I do have a quick question for you real quick.
Yeah,
All right. What do you think about I haven't heard much about it. I mean, it was announced, but it's going to take a while for the restructuring to happen. What do you think about the FedEx restructuring? Is there opportunity there?
haven't
From
heard a lot about it.
haven't heard a lot. Yeah, I haven't heard much about it lately.
Tell me about it. What
Um,
do I need to know?
I don't know. The only thing that I was thinking, when I heard it, was that there may be an opportunity for, as a carrier, to reach out to them, kind of, find out on the inside what's happening, and if there's any room, for as a carrier, where they could come in and be a part of their movement of freight. I mean, they've got their LTL division, I guess, is primarily what they're talking about when they split this company. But maybe there's some opportunity there, that exists when a company is doing this in the beginning. There's all this restructuring going on. You just never know. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know if you had heard anything about what was going on.
I haven't.
Okay.
Sterling would probably know. He was working over there.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh okay.
did I buy FedEx? No, no. I probably shipped a package on FedEx, but that's as far as it would go. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who doesn't know who Paul is? Let's talk about Paul for a second.
Yeah.
FR8 Connect, really kind of in the business of helping the little guy here, carriers. You know, used to say just help you connect with direct shippers, but you're doing so much more now. Trying to put
Yeah.
together a platform to support, CRM, TMS, all kinds of, manage customer relationships, all kinds of stuff. So if you need
Yeah.
any help with any kind of that stuff, get with Paul. Check out. Is the Elevate website functional yet, or
Yeah, it's up and running where you can access the website, signing in. We're not taking more generating new accounts at this point. There's some additional things that we're going to be doing to the site. We did have it open, and there's some things I noticed that I'd love to change. Right, so it's a work in progress, but I'm really, really, really excited about it because we're all about definitely education, right? That's a big part of it. And there's a lot of information in there that we offer in regards to education and a lot of things that we want to bring about to help. CRM, you know, AI, there's an AI component that we're adding to it. You hear AI and throw that around and you expect everybody to get excited, but I think that's the way it is in the beginning. Right now, everybody, they're spending a lot of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure and all these other things, and people are supposed to get excited about it. But the question is, what can AI really do for me? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it has to be functional. It
We
has to be something that can really benefit me. And so I think the way we're looking at it and the way we're trying to establish it within Elevate, I think that people will definitely see an advantage. And so that's something that we're working on. But we just want to be able to give the customer, or I should say the carrier in this case, uh, a way to better manage their sales operation, right? Because sales can be tough for a lot of people and not make sense to some, but we want to make it pretty simple. We want to be able to help you. If you want to hire us to do it, you know what that's all about, Adam.
mhm.
We'll do the sales side of it, but education is a big part of it all. And so our whole goal is to help you get connected with shippers so that you can grow.
With all the AI and the
Yeah,
the new year, new opportunities, a new way of doing things. You have
yeah,
autonomy. Is there still room for the small guy or one truck guy to find direct relationships and grow a company?
100%, 100%, man. There's people, last year, we were reaching out for clients, and at the end of the year, it's a good time to reach out to shippers, but a lot of them are busy, and then they shut their doors, and then a lot of people don't really consider new things until the new year, right? And then when you come into the new year, I mean, just look at a 12-month period. It's winter, and we've gone through winter weather, and we're going to continue to go through more winter weather, right? And it shut down a lot of cities, a lot of parts of the country. It affects businesses. It delays freight movement and things like that. They need help, right, in moving freight. And then we get to the warmer weather, and that's when things start to really move. And so we go through that cycle year after year. So to answer your question, there's always um, changes within our economy and the environment where freight movement is needed, whether it's one truck, two trucks, three trucks. But I think, Adam, you said it very well earlier. You explained how you were able to get into this one customer, right? Even though this other one had 300 trucks or whatever they had, you still have to make yourself known, right? You still have to do that. If you want to get from one truck to two trucks, you have to build relationships, right? You just have to. And shippers will listen to you. They will listen to you. Even if you told a shipper, hey, this is what I'm doing. I only have one truck. I've been in the business for 4 years, right? And I'm working to grow my company and I'm really serious about it. There are shippers that will listen to that, right? And they will be like, okay,
Find the right one. Not everybody is. I mean, is Home Depot going to listen to that? No, no, you're not. But you're in no position. But the a local hardware store might that needs lumber brought in twice a week, right?
absolutely.
Um, I'm gonna I'll make a bold prediction here. We talked in the past about eventually, even though AI and autonomy, that eventually it's going to come back full circle to personal relationships. I think this is the year. Even though AI is going to make advancements, autonomy will make advancements. I
Hmm.
really believe this is the year that personal relationships make a comeback in this industry. That we went through a lot of stuff. We'll continue to go through a lot of stuff where people will get fed up and tired of AI, blaming AI, failures, their freight not getting moved because a computer didn't catch it or what have you. You'll see the advancements, but I still think that a lot of people are going to come full circle back to people like us.
Yep. I talked to a shipper this morning, man. He said the exact same thing. He used the words relationship or talking to a human, and you know, which was missing for him, and he was frustrated, because certain things weren't happening. I think they can get this AI stuff and all that. I think it could get really really good, but I s- people you cannot get away from I don't think you can get away from the human element. You know what I mean? It's you just can't. We can make things better, right? We can make situations better, but um, I think people are always because if we did get rid of people, what would that look like? You know what I mean?
Mm.
That can't
Terminator.
happen.
You ever seen
Yeah,
the Terminator movie?
that just can't happen. So
No.
uh, yeah.
Interesting. Well, I guess we're going to find out about all of that, aren't we?
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to it, regardless. What it is what it is, man, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Any big plans for the year?
for the year. Well, definitely I think along with what you said, you're making that bold prediction. I'm in the same basket as you. And with what we're trying to do here, I'm looking forward to really, really helping a lot of carriers, this year, and being able to connect them with those opportunities. Man, I just love. I mean, I was in the music industry, right? And it was all about
Millie
having that,
Vanilli, right?
huh?
Millie Vanilli?
I did meet one of them. He was at one of the open mics, to be honest with you, and he didn't sound that well. He didn't, but he tried. But at any rate, it was always about taking this little group or somebody that no one knew, right, and exposing their talents and what have you, and just going through the process of getting to that next level, right? And so here this year, I'm really excited for a lot of companies to be able to do that, a lot of carriers. So in terms of anything big, I think that's pretty much it. I just really would love to see, and even us help support, some companies get to that level. And even if it's just the mentality of things, right? Just being able to think on a level where, um, they just see progress and are able to move in that direction, and progress. So by the time we get to December of this year, man, I would just love to have a community of carriers that we talk to that have grown, this year. But
This is it, man. I really believe this is the year. Are we going to have some setbacks?
hmm,
Yeah. Things we got a lot of change, and sometimes there's unintended consequences of change, and some of them could be bad. It's just
yeah,
the way it is.
yeah,
So we can work through them. But
yeah.
I think opportunity is back, and it's up to you.
It's up to you. It's up to you. Mama needs a new pair of shoes, so
Hmm.
got to make that happen.
Yep, I think so. So, well, that was good. Matt's truck show. I got my
Woo.
reservations. Got my hotel. Are
All
we
right.
doing it again? You coming?
I'm writing. I gotta write it down because it's like one thing comes up in another, and then it's like, ooh, I forgot about that. So
All
when
right.
is that, man? What is that?
Well,
End of May? No, into April,
end of
beginning of May,
March, isn't it?
March to April. Oh, okay.
Hold
How's
on.
that? Ooh,
Let me Google this.
then I need to
Matt's
jump on that.
2025. March 27th through the 29th.
20. Okay, the end of March, 27th.
Probably
Um,
bring in some more people this year, maybe.
you are
Yeah, maybe. I think cents per mile here. I think he's gonna hop on in there, and
right. Great.
one of my drivers gonna bring his lovely bride, and he was there last year.
Nice. 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 It was so crazy, man, and you probably experienced this when we were there last time. I was in line, right, with someone, and we were in line getting coffee, and I had my back to the line. I was just talking, and then someone just said, "Paul." I said, "Yeah," and then we just started talking. I'm like, "How do you know me?" And it was the scariest thing. Just yeah,
You're
you walk
celebrity.
around, huh?
You're a celebrity.
Well, I mean, but I guess my point is that, man, your show, it reaches a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And that's a great thing. Just to know that, that there's a community there. I mean, I was in one of the um, one of the events, and I had walked out, and the conversation at that point came up about broker transparency. But I had walked out, and the guy came out, and same thing, and we took a picture, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to get my wife," and we all took a picture. But the point is, again, is that you know people listen, to the information that you put out there, and I think it's amazing. And you've been doing this for a while, and you've been consistent, and so that's a testament to all the effort that you put in, and I really
Nope.
do appreciate that.
I reject that. You are the one that's YouTube famous. I don't get. Nobody says hi to me.
Yeah,
Nobody.
whatever. I saw it,
Nobody.
so don't
No,
don't don't
like
even
one
say
time.
that.
One time.
One time,
They
yeah,
don't want a
right.
picture with me. That's too ugly. No,
Whatever.
you're the
Okay.
celebrity. I was hoping to get you giving a speech this year, speaking.
I was too, man. I didn't get a call back, or I need to follow up on that. So we'll see what happens. So I'm
Well,
not.
if not this year, then next year.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep
I,
trying.
I could be your Ed McMahon. Sit on the couch and be your hype man.
Dude, do you know how much we probably which stage would you like? I like that. I do like that one. I don't even know where you, which stage is
Out by
that?
the trucks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
I like
south
that one.
stage, I think. South,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. I like that stage. That'd be a good
Okay.
stage to do that. We'd have to get you a nice couch, man.
I know. The deal. We'll do it.
Hmm.
We'll hurt everybody's feelings with broker transparency.
Well, I don't know. The one thing too, though, when we were out there last year, and that topic came up, and there was a young lady in the audience, and she brought it up, and boy, she was fired up about it, because she wanted broker transparency, and I don't remember the guy's name. He has a YouTube channel, and you
Kevin
said,
Rutherford.
yeah, 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 and he was up there, and he had to stop talking while he was on stage. He said, "You know what?" He even said it. He was so upset about it. He said he had to walk off stage. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how charged that topic
It's
was.
a very hot button topic, and people are deeply divided on it.
Hmm.
And they're very yeah. There's some real strong feelings about that. I don't really even like to talk about it. Like I'm like
Mhm.
it's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
Even if you get broker transparency, you're not going to get it. Like
Mm.
there's workarounds here, people. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some people, we've been doing this for a while, and there was a time, we were telling people, yeah, definitely, get your brokerage. But then we talked about it where, hey, use that when, if you can't cover, then, use your brokerage, but don't look at that as your main source of income. It
Yeah.
can grow into that, right? And but there were some people that did establish a brokerage, but then when they did that, they found out how tough it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really not that, and there's a lot of competition. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah. And how do
um,
you compete? How do you compete with oh, who's a good one for it? I don't know. Pick whatever brokerage you want, and
mhm,
they have maybe one or two people stateside, and everybody else is overseas, where they're making 200-300 bucks a month. So
mm,
how are you going to compete with that? I mean, you could out service them,
mm,
out personal attention them, but the margin they can run on compared to you,
mm.
that's a tough one. Plus, they're probably willing to pull about any scam out there just to make money, really. But
I really didn't
transparency.
touch on that. Yeah.
You need no further evidence than this.
Okay.
We already have a broker transparency rule, and we
Okay.
don't get
Yeah.
it. What
Right.
makes anybody think one more rule is going to be the magical one
So
where they
so
can
so
apply?
Adam, what about that though? I mean, that's in place, right? Why is that not enforced?
Why isn't the English speaking provision enforced? Why isn't anything enforced? They pick and choose which rules they want to enforce, and uh, I don't know. They probably will to make people feel better, and then they'll just forget about it and it'll go away. Who's
Hmm.
going to enforce it? There's nobody. There's nobody that can enforce it. There's no enforcement arm.
That's true. Okay. Yeah.
Why don't they enforce brokers that they come into the industry and they run up, $3 million in freight bills and walk away and leave drivers holding the bag? They
Mm,
don't enforce that. They don't enforce the anti-fraud measures.
hmm.
Um, they don't enforce the United States address thing where you have to, have a domestic address. So there's 500 different workarounds around that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
just another thing, man. It's be a cathartic measure. It'll make people feel better, but it won't really do anything.
Mm. Well, all I can say is you're in business now, meaning, whoever is in the audience, and the opportunities there, and, look for those opportunities. That's, like you say, spend your energy there. And, these other things do exist, will exist. And we didn't even talk about fraud and stuff like that. I mean, you definitely got to protect yourself best you can. But it's the business that we're in. And you do want to make it better. We want to make things better. There's no question about that. But I think from where I come from, like sales is hard. There's no question about it. But I've got a heart for it. Right, making a cold call. I mean, just as simple as that. Someone will be like, after 2 calls, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? But it's something that can make a difference, and you just learn it and go with it. There's all kind of bad things that you have to deal with when you do cold calls, but it's a part of it's a part of it, and I try to make it as best I can in all areas of aspects of making sales. And so what I'm saying is, as you having a business, you are a carrier. um Man, don't just,
Yeah,
I don't
that's.
know, man.
I'm just gonna go back to something you taught me right in the beginning. Brokers come and go, freight comes and goes, trucking companies come and go.
Mm.
But you know what? Wu Tang is for life, right?
Okay.
What else? What else do you need to know?
What else?
Wu Tang for life.
For life.
I saw that on a yard sign recently, and
Did
I
you
got to go
really?
back to it every. Yeah, it was. What was it? Something about the election.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, but remember, Wu Tang for life.
Wu
I'm like,
Tang for life.
I'm gonna. That's my new mantra. That's my new motto. That's it. That'll bring you back to center every time.
Some's got to keep you going, huh?
Hmm.
I love it.
All right. Well, enough shenanigans here. Thanks for doing
All
this,
right.
man. I would like to
Hey,
get
man.
back to doing it more often and
Thanks for the
reestablish.
invite.
2024, you find out who you want to be closer to, who the people are that are real. In 2025, you cling to them for life, right?
Yes, sir.
You
Wu
find out who
Tang
the
for
real
life.
ones are.
Yep.
So we appreciate that. Everybody appreciate it. So thanks for coming in, everybody. Give us a thumbs up, share it out. Check out Paul's website, fr8connect.com.
Or the
You
other
know,
one,
or another one, it's elevate.com, right?
elevatefr8.com.
Elevatefr8.com.
Yep.
And if you need a little help with some kind of aspect, call Paul and see if he can help you. Get the best people on your side. So, all right, Paul, hang out for a minute. Everybody else, we'll see y'all next time.
All right.